Africans are not criminals. We want free movement of Africans. There are very few individuals who are criminals in our continent. They must be arrested, they must be isolated, they must be dealt with decisively. We need one Africa, one judicial system, one economic system, one military, one policing system, one legislature, where all of us are held accountable. Upi Bushir, Gama donation. If we had one continent, we're going to pick up Bushir like we're picking up a chicken from a chicken run from wherever he is. But these useless borders that are overrated make it impossible for us to even go after people we know have committed crimes in our country and have gone to hide in other countries. But free movement, free one judiciary, independent executive, one president of the African Republic will help us to defeat crime. Cars are being stolen in South Africa, shipped into Mozambique. And what is painful is that even when they arrive in Mozambique, they don't change number plate. Nothing changes, nothing. They drive them the way they are. You can't do anything. Even if someone says, I've seen your car in Mozambique, you can't do anything. You have to go through some nonsensical protocols to have access to your car in Mozambique. But one continent, one borderless continent will help to defeat crime in the African continent.
Sure. Another one?
About the late Marco from the SABC asks that
well, Africa doesn't have leadership. That's why you will have clowns like Ramaphosa being chairpersons of AU, because there is absolutely no leadership in the continent. We are not leading in anything except leading in corruption and surrendering the resources of this continent to the thugs from the West who have milked and destroyed this continent. So we need new leadership. And that's why the contest in Uganda is very important. Because the young must emerge against the old. The old must die, not literally, but politically, for the new to emerge. And therefore, we cannot have Madala like Museveni being a president against the youth, the energetic young people. Museveni should, even if he does so within his own party, identify a successor and leave the Ugandan people to energetic and young leadership. It is the young leadership which will come with innovative method and measures to develop this continent, including production of drugs, including production of ventilating machines, oxygen machines, the mask. We cannot produce the simplest thing called mask when we all know it is in high demand. South Africa today, police are dying in their numbers, led by a fool called Begike, who's obsessed with self. I've never seen such an ugly person who's obsessed with seeing his ugly face on TV all the time. Well, Africa doesn't have leadership.
To do is, he must stop with this European vaccine. He's pushing us into getting European vaccine. And he doesn't want other countries to provide vaccine here in South Africa. Russia is applied there by SAPRA for the Sputnik. They are refusing Russia's Sputnik. China has applied there, SAPRA. They are refusing Chinese vaccine. Why? We must get Johnson & Johnson because of Bill Gates. We're not puppets of Bill Gates. We don't play tennis with Bill Gates. So if Bill Gates bought them by the time he came here to play tennis, and when he left, Corona came, and he knew what was going to happen, he came to bribe them here. And Cyril is just pushing us into one option. Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson. Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson. So we must just get American, European things. What is this nonsensical thing called BRICS? They are BRICS partners, yet they don't buy vaccine from each other. He should be getting vaccine from Russia. He should be getting vaccine from China. He should be getting vaccine from Cuba. Now, everything else is going to the Europeans and Americans because it's a puppet of the imperialist forces. So we don't want that. Let Johnson & Johnson be on the counter. Let Pfizer be on the counter. Let Sputnik be on the counter. Let the Chinese be on the counter. Let Cuba be on the counter. Let people choose which vaccine they want to use. And we want vaccine. We want to be vaccinated because there is no vaccination rollout plan here in South Africa. Cyril must buy vaccine and vaccinate our people. Otherwise, we are going to the streets.
With former President Jacob Zuma, and you two have had a broken relationship over the past couple of years. Would you say that you two have now mended your relationship?
I've got no relationship with President Zuma. I went to have a meeting with him to discuss matters of national interest. And before you ask me what are those matters of national interest, you must ask Zondo to tell you what were matters of national interest he discussed with Zuma, a judge. Till today, you have never been told what was Zuma and Zondo discussing. The whole sitting judge going to the house of politicians to discuss matters of national interest. Before you get that answer from Zondo, I will never answer that question because I have no obligation to tell you. But no judge should be going to houses of politicians. In his own admission, Zondo says, I went to discuss with Zuma matters of national importance. Zondo is not being asked, what is a judge doing in a house of a politician? If a judge has got a matter of national importance to discuss with a politician, let it be discussed publicly. What is it that Zondo finds comfort to discuss with Zuma exclusively, which he can share with the nation? So I have no relationship with Zuma. I meet whoever I want. And no one has got a diary. I have no PA, by the way, who controls my diary. I control my own diary. Not even my wife controls my diary. No one will ever control who I meet. I meet anyone I want to meet as long as I know it is in the best interest of our country, then I will do it. And if it means going to meet with Zuma again, I will go. No one can stop me from doing that. I have no personal relationship with Zuma. I have no political relationship with Zuma. But in a democracy like ours, issues must be resolved through engagement, including with our own enemy forces. By the way, Samkelo, I've got no any bad blood with my exes, all of them. I'm that type. So I hold no bitter grudges about anything that happened in the past. I still engage openly and frankly.
When it comes to the issues, particularly with former President Jacob Zuma, just to take the nation into confidence. What are those issues of national importance that you discussed with him, and did he heed your advice that you were giving to him, and what of the importance of having Senior Counsel Advocate Dalimpo for this?
Well, I said it, let Zondo tell you first. If Zondo answers that question, what is it that he was discussing with Zuma as a sitting judge with a politician at night in the house of a politician? For as long as Zondo has not answered that question, I'm not at any liberty to tell you what I discussed with Zuma. So, Dalimpofu is a leader of the EFF in his own right. And from time to time you will see him represent the EFF or go as a delegation of the EFF. He has never denounced his membership of the EFF. So he was part of my delegation to go and meet Msholos and have tea with Msholos, the former president. Whether somebody likes it or not is their own problem. When I go to meet Zuma, the Tumamina media group says Malema is planning a fight back with Zuma against Ramaphosa. But when the top six goes and meet Zuma, they are not planning a fight back against Ramaphosa. The hypocrisy of this country will never get to me. I know you. Same thing is done. I open the doors. They are all scared to go and meet Zuma and tell him what we want to tell him on his face. In a very charged meeting for 3 hours, where you could touch tensions with your hand. We tell each other our issues like that. They are all scared to do that. Once Malema is gone, they all follow, like Casey and Jojo, because they've got no plan. Then Malema comes back. Hey, Malema is planning with Zuma to collapse Ramaphosa. The same Ramaphosa and the ANC do exactly what Malema did. There is no headline that, no, Malema, a top six is planning to collapse Syria because they went to meet with Zuma. When we criticize the judges on how the judges must conduct themselves, they are attacking the judges. When the white former judges attack Klope, no. It's not attack on judges. Klope must be taken to all types of things. There are certain rules for others and certain rules for others. It's not going to work with me. You can hate me for that. That nonsense will never get to me. I'm going to pursue collectively with the leadership of the EFF what is in the best interest of this country and the generations to come after us. History will absolve us.
This continent of Africa must be one. I hear you saying, he says, the borders must be open. The borders must be opened. Because borders are opened for white people. When there is a white person from Mozambique who can't even speak English, you welcome them. When there is a brother from Mozambique into Nelspruit, you call them names. Yet you don't call white people names. There is no Mozambique here. There is no Swaziland here. There is no Lesotho here. There is no Botswana here. Zambia or Namibia. There is no Zimbabwe. There is Africa, the continent of our ancestors. We were divided. We were divided by the colonizers. What type of a student activist are you? What type of a ground force are you? You say, I don't want colonialism. We want decolonization. Yet you are supporting colonial borders in Africa. We don't want anything that looks like colonialism. We want to be one thing with our sisters in Tanzania, in Nigeria, in Egypt, in DRC, in Sudan, in South Sudan, everywhere else in Africa. We don't want passport, we don't want visa, we must move free of charge. We are one thing. This continent is one. I am a Zimbabwean, I am a Nigerian.
I am a Tanzanian because African brothers everywhere where we are victims of racism and colonialism. They don't care whether you come from Mozambique or South Africa, you are black, they hate you. The best we can do, solidarity amongst Africans. Let us hold each other's hands. Let us protect each other against colonialism. I saw a video of some police harassing a Nigerian in Santin. I want to say to my Nigerian brothers and sisters, those police do not represent us, and they do not represent the South African police services. Those police, they must be dealt with, they must be disciplined for harassing a person simply because this person is a Nigerian. It must come to an end. Some fool is going to say, but these Nigerians are committing crime. Fine. If Nigerians are committing crime, a lot of them are in Hillbrow. Why are the soldiers not in Hillbrow but in Cape Town among South Africans? There are no soldiers on Nigerians. There are no soldiers on Mozambicans. There are soldiers on South Africans themselves, because crime is committed by us. We are the ones who are selling drugs to our own people. We are the ones who are beating up our own women. We are the ones who are killing each other. And then you hide behind the Nigerians. Stop being cowards. Take responsibility. Stop crime. When Nigerians come here to commit crime and they do not find us as criminals, it will not be conducive for them to do crime where crime is not happening. It starts with you. Stop crime. Stop hiding criminals if you want a peaceful South Africa. Zimbabwe, please find a solution. The economy of Zimbabwe is worrying all of us. Please find a permanent solution. Ramaphosa, we ask you to help our brothers in Zimbabwe. Their problem is our problem. Because when we had problem with apartheid, they received us in their country. They helped us. It is our turn to return the favor. DRC, we can see what they are doing there. They want those beautiful minerals of DRC. They are destabilizing it. They are making you African brothers fight amongst yourselves, including making it difficult for the president to appoint his cabinet. DRC, African leaders, come together. We want a stable DRC. We want a DRC that works. We want a DRC that owns its minerals. We want a DRC that will use the proceeds of those minerals to benefit the people of DRC. Sudan, there is no army that can preside over civilians. We don't have a problem with the intervention of the army. Let it not last for more than a year. We want elections in Sudan. We want civilians to choose a government of their own. South Sudan, don't be threatened by opposition. Embrace opposition. South Africa, ready yourself to go to South Sudan. Let us go and help them to build that new country. Let us help them to stand on their own so that we can be proud that a country was formed during our time and we helped to establish that country and make it stable. Cuba and all those who are threatened by the USA, please do not succumb to imperialism. Do not succumb to colonialism. Venezuela, we are with you. Cuba, we are with you. Russia, continue showing America a middle finger so that you can put it at its rightful place. They must stop thinking they can bully the world forever and ever. It will never happen. We want the world that is characterized by democracy and respect for human rights.
If things are going the way they are, there will be a revolution in this country, I can tell you now. There will be an unled revolution. An unled revolution is the highest form of anarchy. Even me, I'll be a victim of that. Why? Because I've committed a class suicide. I'm no longer with them in the townships. I'm now staying in town, I'm in parliament, I'm earning a salary. When they rise, they will rise against the middle class, and I will not even stand in front of them and stop them, because they will say, you sold us out, you left us in the townships, you went to join them there. I can tell you that now. This inequality, which is growing, which the gap is widening and racially based, blacks becoming more poorer and whites becoming more richer, is not sustainable.
Swahili is the most practical language, not because it's big, it was one of the big languages. No, it's not, but it's already being spoken in different countries. So you might say Zulu is big, but it's only spoken in South Africa. But once you go with a language that is already in different countries, then you are not going to start from zero. Hence, we've made a call as
also
EFF.
Very similar to Nguni languages,
Yes.
by the way.
So we have made a call, and you'll find some dialects of Zulu as well in Swahili. So we've made a call to the minister in the past as EFF for Swahili to be taught in schools. And once we start teaching Swahili as South Africa, then we'll be able to call all of African continent to start teaching Swahili. And once we've got a common language that we can use to communicate amongst ourselves and not use colonial languages, the unity of Africa is going to be easy. Now we are divided between the Francophones and the Anglophones. We are divided through colonial languages. Let's push this language and make sure that we've got some starting point. And the most practical thing to do now, which the minister and the president should support if they're interested in uniting African people, is to say, let's teach Swahili and encourage other countries to start teaching Swahili. Then we have canvassed the first ground of dealing with the most basic, which is communication. Because in most cases we agree, but we talk past each other because of language.
I challenge the SABC radio to play more of Swahili music, because we want to promote the language Swahili so that there could be one common language that can unite the people of Africa. Through one language, as Africans will be able to understand each other's message and appreciate each other's existence, and will not see each other as enemies. We see each other as enemies today because we see each other through the lenses of our colonizers. Land is everything to our people. We will never support any amendment that is artificial. We will never support any amendment that says we must compensate the criminals who stole our land. We'll never do that. Section 25 must be amended to allow expropriation of land without compensation and make the state the custodian of the land, the same way we did with minerals and water. It is not impossible. It is possible. And it will only happen under the EFF government because the ANC has sold out.
My Lord, as a younger generation in the struggle, we sing the songs those who came before us sang to put ourselves in the position they were before. And like we said, our songs are not in any way meant to engage in any literal engagement. They are songs for that purpose,
of the revolution, not to attack anyone. My Lord, from the times of Shaka Zulu until today, I've never heard that black people were given instruction to attack through song. I'm still to wait for example where the masses of our people were given an instruction through song to go and attack. My Lord, the EFF was formed in 2013. This song was sang way before the formation of the EFF. And to say people are being killed because of an EFF song, as if this is in the founding manifesto of the EFF, it's bizarre.
It's the claim. This is the interesting thing that you do, is you try and create a straw man. You say it's not our song. We didn't write this song. Makaba sang this song, but you sing it now.
Yes.
You have embraced this song. It's part of your.
But you call it EFF song.
Is it not an EFF song?
It's a struggle song.
Is it a song sung by the EFF?
My Lord, the EFF cannot expropriate this song without compensation. It belongs to the struggle. It's a struggle song. There is a saying, Yauri, when you steal a car and you pass over the car to the stolen car to your children, it makes that child a criminal as well, because it's in possession of stolen goods. And that child passes that car, or doesn't even pass that car. He sells that car to go and buy another car with the money of stolen goods. It remains a stolen good, the property you bought with the money stolen, got from a stolen goods. You are in possession of stolen property. Return it, please. Your parents have left you a very bad name, and don't blame it on us. But I asked a question earlier. Reparations are paid.
I'd like to stop you right there. Why I have the name that I have is that my grandparents fled Nazi Germany and sought refuge in South Africa in the 30s to avoid extermination. Now the witness has brought up my name, and I will use the opportunity to respond to
I never brought your name. I never brought your name. I've never brought your name. I've never brought Oppenheimer's name. I don't even know his name. I don't know. I've never, my Lord, called him by name. I've always referred to him as you, and I clarified it that I'm referring to a client. When I say your name, I mean them as white people. Your parents have left you a bad name. So that is the context I'm using it. So please, if you are going to be a legal representative, you are going to have to reduce yourself from this case as an individual. Remove your emotions and deal with me as a professional. Because if you are going to come to me as a personal person, individually, I will no longer look at you as a professional. I will decisively deal with you as an individual. I'm going to be president of this country, whether you like it or not, and I will preside over the affairs of this country, including presiding over you. I think you must start adjusting to that reality. The sooner you do that, the less chest pains you'll have when that reality comes.
what chest pains would result?
Racist chest pains. You know, my Lord, we're sitting here with pain, with trauma, and to be interrogated by people like this, who perpetuate the segregation, who continue to promote racism in this country. It's really unfair. Thousands of children have seen their mothers being tortured. I was young when police walked into my mother's house and she was sleeping. They took off her blankets off. Men, she was not dressed up. She was sleeping. Men took off her blankets. I live with that for the rest of my life, that some strange men came into my house and took off the blankets of my mother to search if she's not a terrorist. We are still a traumatized nation, if you don't know. And that trauma is real. And don't push us to that pain, because when that day comes, we'll not be scared. I've litigated with Afroforum and Roots before.
and they've never brought someone so weak as you. I think they've done the worst disservice to themselves. Let me tell you, every time we say white settlers, white people, white settlers in South Africa, it is in that context. So why would an American who came yesterday, my lord, be a settler? We're talking here about white settlers. Why would a Russian who came yesterday be a settler? You understand very well the context within which we say all white people are racist. It is in relation to the struggle of liberation in South Africa against apartheid system that benefited all white people.
So who is a white settler?
All those who came here to come and conquer South Africa and take the land from our people are white settlers.
When?
From since 1652.
Up until when?
Up until we took our freedom, political freedom in 1994.
White settlers, everyone from 1652 up until the time of political power, is that 1994?
Yes, 1994.
Now I'm asking you about people after that date.
Those who inherit the property stolen from us are criminals. So if you come from America with an intention to come and inherit a stolen property, you are a criminal.
If it was the case that just one person was going to be influenced to murder someone after hearing you chant, kill the farmer, kill the boer. It's a hypothetical case. If someone was to be influenced in that way, would that be a reason for you not to sing the song?
No, not at all. Anyone who engages in the killing of anyone because of my chant will not be influenced by my chant. That person will be driven by criminal mentality. It's an act of crime because my chant is not a command. It's exactly what it is. If I were to give that command, I will give it openly, unashamedly, without hiding my face. So there is no anyone who claims that he got a command through a song. That person will be acting out of their own sheer criminality and not because they've got a political motive. You are a bad lawyer, Shem. It goes without saying. You are a bad lawyer. The white people are the power.
Let's just pause on this for a second. What is the race of the president?
Which president?
President of South Africa.
Ramaphosa.
Yes.
He's black.
And how many people are in his cabinet?
I don't know, 26 or so.
Are any of them white?
Yeah,
How many?
very few of them.
And the head of the police, what is his race?
Black,
And of the army.
black,
And I could keep going on.
yeah.
The claim that white people are in power, when I've listed all of the levels of political power, you say that those people are black. That strikes me as untouched reality.
Then let's go to the real power, not this imaginary power you're talking about. How many companies are owned by black people at the JSE? Two. I gave you answers. I said, when you asked me a question, I said 26 and all. Now you say, I ask you a question, you say, tell me. Your answer is 2. Because you know that if you give the correct answer, it will show the real power. The economic power of this country is in the hands of white people. They are in charge.
Mr. Malema, just answer him. He's typically he's a representative. Yes. Just tell him.
I don't ask questions. I answer.
Yes. Thank you.
I'm used to asking questions.
So you can tell me if you'd like.
Well, the Johannesburg Stock Exchange, 80%, if not 90% of it is white-owned. Those companies are the ones that control the economy of our country. In South Africa, 90% of the people who own the land are white people.
After centuries.
Now, if I understand the thrust of what the man is saying, is that a decolonization process requires violence. Is that correct?
Yes.
Now, would you embrace violence as a process to decolonize South Africa?
Colonialism is violent. It's like racism. And the only way to deal with violence, you must be violent. Therefore, there is nothing wrong in engaging in a revolution and want to be suggesting that you can't be engaged in violence. Revolution itself is violence.
As you describe yourself as a revolutionary militant party, is that correct?
Very radical and militant.
Radical and militant.
Yes.
And so, and you would be happy to then endorse the use of violence for your revolutionary aims?
My Lord, when the time comes and the conditions on the ground necessitate that arms must be taken, we'll do so without hesitation. Our forefathers did that and will not hesitate to repeat because we have not achieved that which they fought for. But we are prepared, like we are doing now, engaging in a peaceful means. To say apartheid ended 28 years ago, it's a sign of being insensitive and racist, because apartheid did not end in 1994. We ushered in political freedom in 1994, and the economic apartheid remains intact. My Lord, I don't want to use your court to engage in ideological gymnastics with a person who has got no clarity, none whatsoever, what we stand for. You can vulgarize and insult Marxism the way you want, but it remains a guiding school of thought for the EFF.
Yeah, Mr. Government. Do you currently run any municipalities?
I'm going to be president of this country, whether you like it or not, and I'll preside over the affairs of this country, including presiding over you. I think you must start adjusting to that reality. The sooner you do that, the less chest pains you'll have when that reality comes.
What chest pains would resolve?
Racist chest pains.
I put to Mr. Malema that, again, for a party that is at 10%, there just doesn't appear to be any possibility of being president of the country.
Your party that you represent has got any percentage you can talk about, because it will never even try. Our people will reject a racist party like the one you represent. But just to help you, the EFF's existence in this country has put the ANC below 50% in the last local government elections and has taken away, through coalition governments, metros in South Africa, in Joburg, Tshwane, Ekurhuleni, Nelson Mandela, including in eThekwini, something that nobody thought will happen even before the ANC turns 30 years. You may think 10% is insignificant, but it's a very huge percentage, and we are the only party that is growing in South Africa amongst the three parties. We've never declined in any election.
After centuries of misguidance caused by slavery,
we're going to go into circles.
Yes, and then I won't push the point.
Okay, thank you.
You testified earlier that when Chris Ireland was killed, that, and you can clarify if I'm saying this correctly, that you wanted to kill them after they killed Chris Ireland. Is that correct?
We're very angry. We're ready to kill. We were waiting for the leadership to just give an instruction, and all corners of South Africa were going to engage in a revolution. And perhaps if that could have happened, we wouldn't be sitting here and entertaining racists. Perhaps if we had taken this government through revolutionary means and not negotiated settlement, we wouldn't be undermined by small-minded racists who are dragging us to courts here, day in, day out, about revolutionary songs, but say we must sing this stem on our national anthem, a song that they were singing when they were torturing our people, a song that they used to sing to celebrate the oppression of our people. They see nothing wrong with it because of this negotiated settlement. Perhaps that should have happened. Maybe you would have respected us. You have no respect for us. We still have you here. You still have our land. We have a constitution that we are embracing, all of us, but more celebrated by you. Because a revolution took place, my Lord, where the oppressor lost nothing. Where have you ever seen a revolution taking place where the oppressor loses nothing? And then the oppressor celebrates the triumph of the revolution. Perhaps Khoisan's death should have served as that turning point. Would not be undermined here.
Let's get some clarity on this. So that violent revolution, who would have been the targets of it?
It would have been the white oppression, the white system that took our land, the white system that denied us economic opportunities in this country.
The white system or the white people? You said kill them. I'm asking if you intended on saying...
But I gave you an answer. You either take it or you leave it. I said, who's the target? I said, the white system of segregation and oppression would have been a target.
Now, hold on a second here. This is what I find relevant. You want to say, we should have had the violent revolution. We wouldn't find ourselves in court today being dragged here to answer about hate speech. We removed this system. But that system of segregation is being dismantled. Is that not correct?
It's not. It's not. I told you, I asked you a question, my Lord said I shouldn't ask you questions. And there he intervened properly and decisively because you're not going to answer it. I asked you, who owns the Johannesburg Stock Exchange? Do you know, my Lord, that 2% of Johannesburg Stock Exchange, 2% is owned by 100% owned black business? 2. There's nothing beyond 2% in the Johannesburg. What do you call that? That's an economic oppression. When you talk the land, and we're talking here agricultural land, the study that was conducted on agricultural land is 7.5%. I'm answering your question of oppression.
The question is about, you said, when Khoisan was killed, we wanted to kill them. Right? You said, maybe it would have been better if we'd done that.
Yes.
I'm asking you who then was.
The system, the white system of apartheid should have been attacked and collapsed and brought to its knees, violently so. Perhaps if we had done a proper revolution. Because, you know, my Lord, we're sitting here with pain, with trauma, and to be interrogated by people like this, who perpetuate the segregation, who continue to promote racism in this country, it's really unfair.
You know what's unfair?
After a century.
Complainants led witnesses who survived farm attacks, who expressed real trauma, who themselves, one witness was shot and his wife was murdered in front of him. The other one discovered her husband after being shot in the head. That's real trauma. The testimony from them that when they hear chants like kill the poor, kill the farmer, that brings back those memories of real trauma, real vivid trauma, recent trauma. And you have taken the position that that trauma doesn't matter, that only your pain matters. That strikes me as a failure of humanity.
My Lord, a real trauma of two people is called a real trauma. A trauma of my parents who have had to pick up the dead bodies in Soweto, of their children who went to school and came back dead, that is not called a real trauma. The 80s, our children killed in the 90s, that is not called a real trauma. A real trauma is white. It has got color. Of two families. I'm talking here, thousands of children have died. Thousands of children have seen their mothers being tortured. I was young when police walked into my mother's house and she was sleeping. They took off her blankets off. Men, she was not dressed up. She was sleeping. Men took off her blankets. I live with that for the rest of my life, that some strange men came into my house and took off the blankets of my mother to search if she's not a terrorist. That is not real trauma because it's not white. A black child's trauma is not a trauma. We are still a traumatized nation, if you don't know, and that trauma is real. And don't push us to that pain, because when that day comes, we'll not be scared. We've lost everything. We survive by the day. We don't know what tomorrow holds for us.
Just elaborate on that.
I've elaborated.
When you say you'll not be scared, what do you intend on doing?
I'm not scared of death. I'm not scared of death. I don't know why I'm still alive. I died long time ago.
Are you scared of killing?
I'm not scared of killing. A revolutionary is a walking killing machine. Not scared of death. If that need arises, I will kill. And I will do so with no hesitation, especially in defense of my people.
I'd like to refer you to Peter McCarver's singing of Kill the Boer, Kill the Farmer. It's at page 194 of the book. You stated earlier that McCarver was a mentor, is that correct?
Was
a mentor.
Peter is my brother, is my mentor.
Yes.
I respect him highly, and I think that enough is not being done to honor him. And that is a topic for another day. A lot of comrades who come from where I come from have not been honored. They are looked down at, and a temptation exists that their names must be erased from the books of history. And Peter belongs to that history. He has not been honored properly. I think he deserves more. We should replace Paul Kruger's statue in Pretoria with Peter Mugaba's statue.
This is our culture, this is our tradition. Those who disagree can go to hell. Would you endorse this?
I don't know what you are reading. I don't know that speech, my lord. I don't know what you are reading.
Well, then I can ask you just, we can refer you to the, you can have a copy of the book in front of you.
Which one?
It comes from this book.
I don't want to touch that book. It just got blood. I don't want to touch that book. It has got blood of black people. I don't want Ruth's book next to me. Give me Wretched of the Earth, if you want.
Yes. Well, this extract is not from Wretched of the Earth.
It comes from where?
But the question, in other words, was McCarver calling for a metaphorical war?
I don't know. I was not there, sir. He explains it himself, Mugabe, there. But my lord, when we go for Kaizer Chiefs and Orlando Pirates at Orlando Stadium or FNB, I support Orlando Pirates. I will say, like all the supporters, today we are going for a kill. In a dam, we are going for a kill. If you meet people like this, you talk like that, then they're going to make noise and say, Kaizer Chiefs people are going to be killed today. I met Pirates people saying they are going for a kill. Mugabe is self-explaining that. He says, I'm not meaning this in a literal sense. We have actually discovered a video of Peter where he explains this, kill the Boer, kill the farmer, and I hope our legal team will play it, so that Peter can speak for himself from the grave on what he meant by this sword.
Yes, well, we will see that video. I'm putting to you a version that you gave contemporaneously at the time. And the version there, you can say whether you denounce that version or not.
I will never denounce Peter Mugabe,
yes.
Not in his grave. It will be un-African to denounce the dead.
Would you denounce the content of what's not him?
Come again?
Would you denounce the content of what he said but not him?
I don't know if that is the real thing. You know, I told you, my brother, I've got a problem with Roots' book.
Yes.
Because Roots is not a known scholar. He's a known racist. It's not known for books.
Sources. And your approach is, so I'm not even going to look at the book because I'm going to deem Mr. Roots a racist.
No, I see what Mr. Roots did. Mr. Roots is using innocent white people who are genuinely scared because of the levels of crime in this country to scare them through selling that book. That this is what is happening, kill the book, you're going to die, buy the book and read it, this is how it's going to happen. That's how they survived. That's how they make money. So you are here to promote Roots' book at my Lord's expense. The courts are too busy. They should be dealing with serious matters, not this type of books where people are perpetuating hatred. How do you sit and choose such a book? Roots is not a known scholar, man. He has got no claim on any intellectual contribution in this country or any contribution to a geography of knowledge. He himself knows that.
What's astounding is that the book contains enormous detail, graphs about the frequency of farm murders, detailed accounts about how people have been tortured to death on farms. I've read some of that evidence to you, some of it has been later evidence court. And your claim is that it's wasting the court's time. Now, that strikes me so sinister that exposing hatred, exposing murder, revealing the evidence of these tortures, of these killings, you want to describe that as a waste of court resources.
He's pushing a racist narrative, my brother. He's creating a non-existing reality in that book of his. And I'm not interested in his book.
This is the gaslighting that you use to public. So your behavior is such that you accuse groups of people based on their race of crimes. You say, I'm not being racist. You then accuse someone who is exposing farm murders and torture of being racist. That is your move, to accuse people of exactly what it is that you do. There's no evidence that they have been racist.
To say you have arrived here in 1652 to formally colonize and steal our land is a historical fact. To say that you are passing and you are using South Africa as a refreshment station is a historical fact. So there's nothing to say that kill the boer, kill the farmer was sang in the struggle. It's a revolutionary song. It's a fact. Whether it can be sang now or not is for this court to decide. But I'm only putting to you historical facts. A thief is a thief.
After centuries of misguidance,
Different parties able to make payments or so ordered by the government.
Each 500.
It's joint at 7.
Okay. Tell them to pay reparations first. Then we can consider paying that. We have no money to pay. They must pay reparations first. Then we can enter into that debate. And our reparation is nothing less than $5 trillion. That's what you owe us. You're asking money from people you stole from. You steal from people and still go and ask money from. You are the ones who are owing us. You have eaten a lot from our land, from our minerals.
Will you pay?
Well, we can't afford, my Lord. We are being owed here. We can't afford.
Do you not have the money?
We can't afford. We don't have money. Give us money. You are owing us.
Can I ask you this? If your claim is you don't have money, I'll start with you first. Your claim you could not personally afford to pay $5,000.
Yes.
How much money do you have in your personal possession? What is your wealth?
I don't have nothing.
You have nothing.
Nothing.
And then I'll ask about the second.
Sorry, there's an objection. Yes, Mr.
Your Lordship, I need to say nothing.
then I'm just to the EFF itself, and the witness was called to speak on behalf of.
Yes. We don't have money.
So the EFF will be unable to pay $500,000.
We don't have money.
But Mr. Oppenheimer, this issue of payment, isn't that an issue that's been pleaded in the papers?
Yes.
And it's an issue that the court will determine.
Yes,
The question whether they have money or not, they can cross that bridge once the order is out.
Yes.
Well, the question is, in other words...
Well, let's just get the witness to confirm what he's already said. Mr. Malema, you saying, firstly, yourself in person can't afford to pay the 500,000.
Yes.
You saying EFF cannot afford to pay the 500,000. Yes. That seems to be your answer, Mr. Oppenheimer.
Yes. And Mr. Ndozi Shem, for sure books, he can give you books. Mr. Ndozi.
Is it correct to say that you've publicly stated that all white people are criminals and ought to be treated as such?
Yes.
What does that mean?
The white system has stolen our land and has stolen our cattle and has stolen our minerals and natural resources, and all of that must be returned.
So if a person from America who happens to be white arrives in South Africa today, are they a criminal?
Americans are even worse because of their imperialism.
Let's say a white person from Russia arrives today, are they a criminal?
Well, we're talking here about colonialism, imperialism, and apartheid, where the Russians responsible for that. Russia left the scramble of Africa in 1884 and 1885 without having a portion of African land. So why would I declare Russian people criminals? They didn't get anything out of the scramble for Africa. We're talking in the context of imperialism, colonialism, and apartheid.
So let's just get this clear then. In other words, a Russian person who arrives in South Africa today, who is white, is not a criminal.
No.
Now, and you were saying, in other words, an American would be a criminal because America is an imperialist party.
Yes.
So, why make the claim that white people are criminals and white people must be held accountable as such?
You know,
when you've just said that there's a difference, we must go and look at their particular history, their particular history. Why choose to make it too much?
You know, I've litigated with Afroforum and Roots before, and they've never brought someone so weak as you. I think they've done the worst disservice to themselves. Let me tell you, every time we say white settlers, white people, white settlers in South Africa, it is in that context. So why would an American who came yesterday, my lord, be a settler? We're talking here about white settlers. Why would a Russian who came yesterday be a settler? You understand very well the context within which we say all white people are racist. It is in relation to the struggle of liberation in South Africa against apartheid system that benefited all white people.
So who is a white settler?
All those who came here to come and conquer South Africa and take the land from our people are white settlers.
When?
From since 1652.
Up until when?
Up until we took our freedom, political freedom in 1994.
So let's just get that sense. In other words, anyone who is white, who is either born in South Africa after 1994 or who arrived after 1994, is not...
Who?
Anyone who is white, who arrived in South Africa after 1994, are they a white settler?
Anyone who arrives in South Africa to inherit the stolen property is a criminal.
I'm asking a simple question. You said
I'm giving you a simple answer.
You said to me that you understand white settlers, everyone from 1652 up until the time of political power. Is that 1994?
Yes, 1994.
Now I'm asking about people after that date.
Those who inherit the property stolen from us are criminals. So if you come from America with an intention to come and inherit a stolen property, you are a criminal.
Can I ask you one final question?
Yeah.
if it was the case that just one person was going to be influenced to murder someone after hearing the chant, kill the farmer, kill the boy. So hypothetical case. If someone was to be influenced in that way, would that be a reason for you not to sing the song?
No, not at all. Anyone who engages in the killing of anyone because of my chant will not be influenced by my chant. That person will be driven by criminal mentality. It's an act of crime because my chant is not a command. It's exactly what it is. If I were to give that command, I will give it openly, unashamedly, without hiding my face. So there is no anyone who claims that he got a command through a song. That person will be acting out of their own sheer criminality and not because they've got a political motive. A system has to be something that we have designed collectively and said, this is how we're going to move in getting rid of white people. But individual actions that borders on criminality can never be construed to be a policy of the EFF or that of the South African government.
Two questions. First, as you said, what we need is a system in place to get rid of white people. Is that right?
Yes.
What does that mean to get rid of white people?
So if we go into a conference and we go or into parliament and make a constitutional amendment that all whites must be driven to the sea and any white who remains here is going to be killed, then we engage in that type of a program to drive all whites to the sea. It's an institutionalized decision, and that arises out of a particular collective decision.
You seem to have the same relationship with lawmaking that the Nazis had. The Nazis didn't just kill Jews.
Yeah.
They passed laws that allowed them to kill Jews. And you're saying that's how it ought to be done with regards to...
That's why the Nazis are still paying today. That's why the Germans are still paying today, my lord, because it was not an individual act. It was the law that was passed in Germany. Germany is still paying the price today. So therefore, more than beyond Hitler, it was a Nazi system that was unleashed against the Jews. And I'm happy in the article you read, even when it disagrees with what we're saying. It says the Nazis unfairly attacked the Jews. So there's an unfair and unjustifiable act that the Nazis engaged in. They're still paying a price for that today because it was a systematic thing.
And what you are proposing is to have exactly that kind of system, to pass a law to allow the white people to be driven into the sea and killed.
But that's not what I said, Mus. I said to you, for it to be a system, a constitution will have to be amended, or some resolution of some sort of an institution will have to be taken. Then engage in that program of driving whites to the sea, and if they refuse to go to the sea, then you kill them, right? And that's not what I'm suggesting. I'm saying to you the difference between the individual and the system is exactly what I'm talking about. No one is saying there's going to be passing of any law to drive whites to the sea. Let's stop daydreaming and listen to one another. Because I'm talking here, explaining to you individual and the system. All you do is to hallucinate.
After centuries of misguidance caused by slavery, colonization.
So fighters, that is the type of people we want, who remember, who always know that what happened in Deep Slot does not reflect us as South Africans. That we as South Africans, we will never ban one of our own in the name of a passport. A passport to us is the color of your skin. Once you are black, you are my brother, you are my sister. I must defend the hated blackness all over the world. You must tell them every time you speak about this principle that the people will not vote for you. You must tell them we do not chase necessarily the votes. we chase necessarily the unity of African people to stand as one, because the unity of African people threatens white supremacy, threatens America, threatens Europe, and threatens everybody that represents imperialism. The unity of Africa is the worth of all of us here. Our success depends on all of us coming together.
So president be a president of thugs, of criminals who beat up people. When you are done with Nigerians, when you are done with Mozambicans and Zimbabweans and Zambians, you are going to go for Shangans from Guyana. I have to stop you now before you come to me. Now some of us can't even talk your language. They are going to ask us to make certain pronouncements in their language, and we can't pronounce Wow. Back to Limpopo. We are going to be victims. Celebrate and be happy, and say the nonsense you are saying about foreigners and Nigerians. Go on. When they are done, they are coming for you. They are going to say, no, the reason we don't have jobs here is because of these Zulus. They must go back to Natal. We don't have jobs here. Is this Khoisan? They must go back to Eastern Cape. We don't have jobs here. It is this ladies here. It is these vendors. Back. Because there will be no foreigner to fight. But poverty will remain. Yeah. Hunger will remain. The inequality will remain. I said the other time, bring all the buses. Let's put all these Nigerians and Zimbabweans in buses. Let's take them back. And let's see if you'll get an employment tomorrow. Yeah. It's a myth. It's the most stupid thing to think of. You are justifying crime and you give it nice names called Xenophobia, Afrophobia. It's crime. It must be dealt with as such. I'm not going to join anyone who beats up an African person. I'm not part of that mess. I will never even support anyone who wants to stone a white person. It doesn't matter the amount of disagreements we have with them. To come with a stone like this and put on the head of a person is unjustifiable. Not even a white person who has committed genocide here, not even de Klerk, deserve to be stoned.
Today you say Zimbabwe is in trouble and the trouble of Zimbabwe is caused by Mugabe. It's not true. Who caused the problem of Syria? Who caused the problem of Libya? Who's causing the problem of Venezuela, Afghanistan, and Iraq? All those problems were caused by Mugabe. Destabilizing those countries were caused by Mugabe. What is common with all these countries, including Zimbabwe, is the fact that imperialism intervened. And we always know that when imperialism intervenes, it destabilizes countries, and those countries never recover from imperialist intervention. That's what Zimbabwe is suffering from. When they took their land, when they took their economy, the imperialists imposed sanctions on them. We challenge imperialism, lift the sanctions, and let's see if black people will never run a successful economy. Let the black Zimbabweans fail on their own without imperialism sanctions. We want the sanctions in Zimbabwe removed. I want to tell you now that one day when those sanctions are removed, some of you who are beating up Zimbabweans here, some of you who are hating on Zimbabweans here, you are going to work for them. They will be owning their mines, they will be owning their retail, they will be owning their banks, they will be owning their land. You call them foreigners. What is the definition of a foreigner? A foreigner is a person who comes into your country without papers, doesn't have anything to show.
That includes you. You are foreigners because you have nothing to show. You go around claiming this is your country. Let's go outside. Show me papers that confirms you are the owner of this country. There's nothing. You don't own anything. Yet you call people foreigners. You are a foreigner yourself because you do not own. Foreigners means visitors. Visitors are people who just come empty-handed with a small bag. When the time permits, they go. That's you. You are renting. You are marching from the hostels, beating up people that they must leave South Africa. Yet you do not own a hostel. You are paying a rent in that hostel. You can be removed yourself from that hostel. You are telling people to leave your country. You come from an apartment. You come from a flat. You come from a house. You have no paper. When you return back home after taking out Zimbabweans, the white man will be at the door showing you the way out of the rented flat, out of the rented house, out of the rented apartment. You have nothing to show. Yet you claim this is your country. You have nothing. You are defending a white man's property. This South Africa is owned by a white man. This South Africa is controlled by the white man. Don't tell me this is your country. When people are burning buildings, you are rushing protecting them. Those are not your buildings. Those are white man's buildings. You have nothing. Stop hating on your future employers. These people are going to hire you. They are the most polite people. Even when they are educated, they still work for small jobs that pay nothing. They don't have pride. They know that you have to work to serve and feed your families. That's why they are here. One day, like it almost happened in Cuba, when Obama wanted to lift the embargo against Cuba, one day it is going to happen. I pray to the ancestors of the revolution that it happens when I'm still alive, so that I can replay these videos and say, I warned you about harassing your future employers. I warned you about exploiting the people who are going to share their land with you because they've done it before. Why didn't Mugabe take the land immediately? He waited for you to get your freedom. Because had Mugabe take the land immediately, it would have caused a serious problem to a point where South Africa will not be liberated. They were a frontline state. They gave us a passage. They accommodated us. We stayed in their homes. They gave us food. They gave us shelter. They never called us names. Today it's our turn to say thank you. We become animals. It is not the spirit of Ubuntu what you are doing to these comrades of Zimbabwe. Comrades, there is no one who's going to tell us how we should unite this continent of Africa. No white man is going to do that. No white man. Look at what they did in Libya. I was in the ANC when they went to attack Libya. I stood up and told Zuma that you have sold out Gaddafi. And Gaddafi gave you money to be a president of the ANC because you voted for no-fly zone. And they used that to attack Gaddafi. And when they were attacking Gaddafi, the white people came to us and said, oh, what was he doing to his people? He was killing his own people. That's fine. Gaddafi is gone now.
What are you doing to his people? What are you doing to... They've never provided solution anyway. All they do is to disrupt. You listen to them in Libya, they said Gaddafi was a murderer, a man who gave people land, a man who gave people free education, free health care, looked after his own. We were told that is an enemy. We will never be told in the EFF who our enemies are. We will know who our enemies are. And enemies are those who are refusing to return their stolen property. And they will be regarded as such until they return the stolen property. Comrades, there is no one who's going to tell us how we should unite this continent of Africa. No white man is going to do that. No white man. Look at what they did in Libya. I was in the ANC when they went to attack Libya. I stood up and told Zuma that you have sold out Gaddafi. And Gaddafi gave you money to be a president of the ANC because you voted for no-fly zone. And they used that to attack Gaddafi. And when they were attacking Gaddafi, the white people came to us and said, oh, what was he doing to his people? He was killing his own people. That's fine. Gaddafi is gone now. What are you doing to his people? What are you doing to... They've never provided solution anyway. All they do is to disrupt. You listen to them in Libya, they said Gaddafi was a murderer, a man who gave people land, a man who gave people free education, free health care, looked after his own. We were told that is an enemy. We will never be told in the EFF who our enemies are. We will know who our enemies are. And enemies are those who are refusing to return their stolen property. And they will be regarded as such until they return the stolen property.
Someone said to me, if you want us to vote for you in 2024, you must abandon this thing of foreigners. Now I'm prepared to go home. Now I'm fine. I will never take a platform and denounce Africans. I will never do it. If it means votes are going, let them go. Now I'm prepared to go home. But to take a platform and please white minority by pointing a finger at my other fellow black brothers, I'm not going to do that. When I see a Nigerian or a Zimbabwean or a Congolese or Ghanaian, I see myself. EFF can commission internal research to see to what extent is this thing hurting the EFF. But I'm not prepared. I'm not prepared to take a platform and say foreigners must go home. I would rather not be a president of South Africa. I'll be a president of my children at home. We'll practice cabinet there. No, I don't want. I must go and tell these hungry Zimbabweans to live here. And when I tell them to leave, I send them to where? To die. To die. I would rather die with them than to allow them to die alone. If this thing has cost us municipalities, and there are people who say I must resign, I will resign. For Africans, I will resign. For black people, I will resign. I have no problem. I saw some tweets saying, no, the CIC must step down. If it's for this, I'm ready. If you are against it now on the basis that I support Africans, let it be. I don't care. What makes me at night is that white people in this country say they are prepared to work with everyone except the EFF, except Julius Malema. I sleep at night. The enemy is not happy with me. I don't want the enemy to be happy with me. And the enemy has accepted that it has got no control over me. It doesn't control me. I've not taken its money. The state can use its own institutions to try and threaten us and do all manner of things. Investigators from 2008 and whatever years were fine. We're not scared of anything. But one thing we know, we have never stolen anyone's money, and we don't take money from anyone that will control us. So please be aware that the stance on Africans remains. It goes nowhere. We are for a united Africa, and we can't unite it by dividing it. We want one Africa, one currency, one president, one military, and one reserve bank. So we're very clear about it. It is in our founding manifesto. To ask me to move from that, you are asking me to compromise on non-negotiable cardinal pillars of the EFF. I can't do that. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Mandla. So we must join the EFF and not join factions. Because factions are dangerous. They make you to cease to think. They can even deny you love. Because the lady you want is in another faction. And if you date that lady in another faction, you are going to a disciplinary committee of the faction because you are a sellout. How can you be a sellout when you want to be engaged with a fellow African, with a fellow member? Marx and Lenin teaches us that the enemies of our revolution is the owners of the means of production. That there will be the owners, in terms of class positioning, there will be the owners and the non-owners. And in this tent, there are no owners of the means of production. And therefore, to declare someone an enemy, you will not be using Marx's tools of analysis. Because Marx's definition of enemy is the owners of the means of production. Lenin argues the same point. Then Fanon argues it from a race point of view, that seated in this tent is fellow black men and women, and therefore cannot be classified as enemies. And if you have declared an enemy in this hall on the basis of not sharing the same idea, then you are in a wrong place. Because your declaration of enemies does not use EFF ideological orientation or school of thought, which teaches us to classify and define what are the enemies of our revolution. There's no enemy amongst us. So there will be those forces that hold in society irreconcilable differences with the EFF. And those irreconcilable differences between us and our enemy agents are in such a way that even if we're to die, there will never be a generation that will reconcile these differences with these enemy forces. That is white monopoly capital and the owners of the means of production. Then there will be these people that we have artificial differences with. For instance, the ANC. Our biggest fight with the ANC is that it is a clerk of imperialism and colonialism. The ANC in itself is not an imperialist, it's not a colonialist, it's not the owner of the means of production. They've got no capacity to be such. Therefore, our differences with the ANC are not irreconcilable differences. And therefore, to position the ANC as a class enemy will be disingenuous and not using Marxist, Leninist, and Fanonian tools of analysis. Because where our black brothers and sisters lose track of what are the founding principles of the revolution, it doesn't define them as enemies. It requires of us as doctors of society
to go and diagnose what is the cause of the amnesia of the ruling party in relation to what constitute the founding principles of the revolution. Once that diagnosis is done, then the prescription must be made to heal them so that they can come back to join the real struggle. And the real struggle in this context, it's a struggle for economic freedom in our lifetime. Because the generation that fought the wars of dispossession inspired the generation that fought the liberation struggle and won political freedom in 1994. Our generation, inspired by the liberation generation, should not forget that this comes from those who fought for the wars of dispossession. When they refused with the land, when they refused with the cattle, because they knew that the land constitutes who they are and their dignity, that the cattle constitute their wealth, that the mineral and natural resources that the colonialists were taking from them is taking away their wealth, and they were not going to allow that. So the struggle was inspired by the reclaiming of that which was stolen from us. That's what brings us here. American economy was brought up and made what it is by immigrants who went to work there. Americans still today, once they identify a skill in someone else all over the world, and that skill they don't have it, they come to poach that person and take that person to America. Then on arrival, they give you green card because you've got.
Why are you scared that anything that stands on the way of the revolution, it must
talent? These Zimbabweans and Nigerians that we hate so much, why can't we identify from them what is it that they are good with, that we can tap in and make our economy a better economy? Remember, in Zimbabwe, there was no Ubuntu education because there were not too many whites there. Ian Smith had to teach both black and white the same education because that economy needed more skilled people and they didn't have more whites. That's why they educated the blacks the same way. So when you deal with Zimbabweans, remember those are the people who never received inferior education. When Afroforum says to you, don't give 50 million to Cuba, Cuba is the one that came to help Angola and fought successfully in Cuba when the Portuguese left and the apartheid South Africa wanted to invade Angola. The Cubans came and defeated apartheid South Africa. It retreated, and part of the conditions of ceasefire in Cuba in Angola was what the Cubans said, that you must give freedom to the black people in South Africa, and you must allow the return of the ANC back into the country. Only then we'll retreat back to Cuba and leave Angola. There is no camp of MK that did not have a Cuban commander who was training MK soldiers. There is no camp of MK that did not have a Cuban doctor to come and look after the liberation fighters who were being prepared to come and fight for our freedom. What is 50 million under the sun when the people were prepared to put their children in line to die for our freedom?
Now we're in power, we say to Cuba, thank you very much for being a good friend. We know that America has imposed an illegal embargo in Cuba. You can't survive. Here is 50 million. Who stand up first? Afroforum says this money must be stopped. Why? Because Cuba eba shapile bontate moholo ba bona le montata bona ko khutogona ba betha le buru la bua le matha mo South Africa. So they are still angry with Cuba for what Cuba did to Afrikaner soldiers in Kutokonavan. We're now busy mo come out to amasetla mo Twitter. Honyo can't give Cuba money honyo. You don't know what is Cuba. Mareba Kari refer America 50,000. Oh, what a nice hey. America, our own enemy. Our own enemy. This mess of colonialism, imperialism, and apartheid is sponsored from there. But you don't know your friends. Today, UN voted that America must uplift the embargo in Cuba. America uses its financial muscle to UN, uses its military capacity, uses its veto power to overrule the majority of countries that said Cuba must be free. We are not free if Cuba is not free. Our friends are in China. The Communist Party of China is what we want to make South Africa. South Africa must be like China and have people working and producing for themselves. China never fought with them.
Must be eliminated in the best interest of the revolution, and we must never be scared to do that. The founding manifesto of the EFF says we'll take power by all means necessary. And therefore revolutionaries, when confronted by that situation, should never think twice. Cowards are not for the revolution. The EFF must be known that it is not a playground for racists. That any racist that plays next to the EFF and threatens and beat up the membership and the leadership of the EFF, that is an application to meet your maker with immediate effect. You were beaten by a racist and you never did anything. Let's hope this new leadership will make a follow-up on that racist, because there must be a follow-up on that racist. I'm not asking you to do what I've not done. When a racist confronted me at Winnie Mandela's funeral, I did what I was expected to do, because I was not scared of a white man. You get beaten by white people here and you call yourself an organization of Fanon. Racism is violence, and violence can only be ended by violence, not any other necessary means. It must be confronted by how it is.
As a black person, I hate racism.
Say you agree with me. You don't. There's nothing you disagree with them.
I hate it with my whole being.
There's nothing you disagree with them.
Is that the best way for the EFF to deal with violence and racist behavior?
But like Fanon deals with that in The Wretched of the Earth. If you intensify your reading of Fanon, you'll understand what I'm talking about. The only way to add violence is to deal with it in a violent way. And racism is violence. What do you do, Toli? Because they never hear anything. The only language they know is the language they speak. So they ought to be put at their right place. Are you saying I am a racist by saying no racist must play next to the EFF?
No.
Am I racist?
The issue here is incitement.
What am I inciting? That
when you
that
say
no racist must play next to the EFF, is that an incitement?
No.
And
when you say
if they dare do that, nip it on the bud, cut the throat of racism and white supremacy.
When you say to the members of the EFF in that PPA that you must follow up. I expect you to follow up on that racist.
Yes.
That's incitement.
How is follow up an incitement?
What must they follow up on?
They must follow up on what happened to the racist, and they must intervene decisively.
What does that
Since
mean?
when is a follow-up a problem? When I proposed a girl today, I follow up. Is an incitement when I follow up. The English of 405 has changed. That follow up means violence. That's a distortion of the word. They must follow up on what happened to that racist who beat up not only black people, but black women. The white man till today, despite the fact that cases were opened, is still not arrested because it's a white man. Had it been a black guy who unleashed such unjustifiable violence against a white woman, what would have happened to that black person? We ought to confront racism everywhere else where it raises its ugly head. And if it has not been attended to, it must be followed up so that no one dares to repeat such a similar mistake.
In a country that is already battling with violence, I mean, I don't have to tell you the stories that we have been reporting on in the past week, particularly the violation of women at the hands of men. We are a country that is struggling with dealing with violence. Is that the best way that the EFF thinks it can resolve such matters?
What option are you giving me? Where are you when an African woman is beaten with a cricket bat? Where is the Human Rights Commission? The picture is there. If anything, you can't even play it here because it's not favoring your narrative. But the video is there of a white, well-built Afrikaner male beating up an African woman with a cricket bat. It's not an issue on the ENCA because the black lives, I mean in the 4-5, the black life doesn't matter. I'm not going to buy into that narrative that black people must be beaten up and the next thing I must keep quiet. I'm not going to keep quiet. Do anything you want to do to me. I'm not going to keep quiet. I'm not going to allow the white Afrikaners in particular to perpetuate institutionalized racism in South Africa, and we keep quiet, and we are being silenced by institutions that must be coming into our defense. Where is the Human Rights Commission for that woman who was beaten there? Where are they? Do they think we're a soft target? Let them do what they want to do. We're not going to apologize for that.
And so final word is that there's not going to be any apology and all roads lead to Equality Court.
I'm not going to any Equality Court. They can go to Equality Court. What am I doing in Equality Court? You take me to Equality Court without listening to me first? What happened to those commissioners there who say they are standing for human rights? Why can't they stand for my rights? That an Indian legal head of legal in human rights commission decide on his own, because he thinks he's a deputy white, on his own, to find me guilty and tell me to apologize without listening to me. They've done it to Zuma, they can do it to me as well, I don't care. But I'm not going to be a puppet of people who are advancing white supremacy and want to legitimize their nonsense at the expense of my rights, the rights that so many people died for. I'm not going to compromise on that.
Why are you scared that anything that stands on the way of the...
Mr. Malema, you have no authority to talk about land ownership. The Khoisan is the only authentic voice that can talk about land. We were the first freedom fighters fighting the colonials when they came here 360 years ago. We were the first people of this nation. We were the first people of Southern Africa. And today we still face oppression. This country's history did not start in 1910 when the ANC was established, nor did it start in 1994 when you went to a democratic dispensation. We lived here, and you, your ancestors, and the white ancestors found us here. So we can only talk about land ownership as you found us here. The indigenous people of South Africa and Southern Africa needs to be restored. That was taken from them by the invaders. I thank you.
I'm not sure there was a question there. If there was a statement, would you like to answer?
Well, I think that you are extremely missing a point. Me and you are Africans. And this land you are referring to, well, I think that you are extremely missing a point. Me and you are Africans. And this land you are referring to and the whole of Africa was one thing until the colonialists came to divide us. So you must never see yourself as being something different from what I am. Otherwise, you are inviting self-isolation. We, the black African majority and the Khoisan, were one thing. And we are the only ones who can speak with authority about the Africa, the continent of African majority. So don't take away, I'm not from Europe. My ancestors are not from Europe. This Africa belongs to Africans, and that's what the Khoisan are. Don't isolate yourself, my sister. This solidarity will help us to defeat colonialist and apartheid legacy.
Top Julius Malema moments that shocked the whole world. And please don't forget to click on the subscribers button and like the video. So let's just go into the video. So at number 1, here is what we have.
Politics. Firstly, people every day say something about President Zuma in this country. Should I stand every day, take everybody to court? You say a lot of things about me. Should I do so? If I were
you can take so, me to court. You can no
He's answering
this is
you,
not your house. This is
Honorable Malema. It's not your turn. Honorable Malema. Point of order. Honorable Malema.
Speaks here. This is our house.
No, Honorable Malema, you have asked your question.
You can take action against me. You can take action against me.
I don't take actions against people like yourself, generally. I don't do it.
Number 2.
Direct foreign investment, it depends on the stability of a country.
How do you reassure the foreign investors?
No, you must give me a chance to speak. Unless you want to have this interview with yourself, then we can give you a chance to speak alone.
Okay.
Because you're asking me questions, I'm responding to them,
okay.
And that's the whole intention of this conversation. So we are.
Number 3.
Trump, my view is that Donald Trump is contributing in this debate which is going on. And in the process of contribution, Donald Trump made a similar contribution that were made by white people, all of them, in the hearings, in the public hearings. Donald Trump is not saying anything we have not heard from white people in all the hearings. I even commented and said, I'm still to meet a white person who supports expropriation of land without compensation. So why are you shocked? I see leaders of the EFF and everybody responding to Donald Trump I don't have time for nonsense. I expected this. And more backlash is going to come.
Number 4.
To this end, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable President, please. Is that a point of order, Honorable Malema?
No, Tabama Kwetla's clapping hands here. This guy is going to jail. He thinks we're playing.
Honorable Malema, that was not a point of order. Honorable Tabang, don't clap hands. Please proceed, Mr. President.
Number 5.
You see, let me tell you, before you are Chacharach, let me tell you, this is a building of a revolutionary party, and you know nothing about the revolution. So here you behave or else you jump. Here you don't laugh. Chief, can you get security to remove this thing here? If you're not going to behave, you're going to call security to take you out. This is not a newsroom, this is a revolutionary house. And you don't come here with that tendency. Don't come here with that white tendency. Not yet. You can do it somewhere else. Not yet. If you've got a tendency of undermining blacks even where you work, you are in the wrong place. Here you are in the wrong place. That's rubbish. And you can go out. That's absolutely rubbish. Yeah, you can go out. Rubbish is what you have covered in that trouser. That is rubbish. That which you have covered in this trouser is rubbish. Okay? You are a small boy. You can't do anything.
I didn't come here to be
Come out. Go out. Bastard. Go out. You bloody agent.